Listening to sports fans who are sitting and watching a game or tapping away on their keyboards from home, one often hears them proposing trades for their favorite teams or players.
It looks like Patrick Mahomes cannot save the Cleveland Browns, which says a lot. If he can't save them, I don't know who can.
Most of their ideas are completely nonsensical. So, in an attempt to be one of those guys, here are trades that would absolutely break the internet. Raiders finally trade Maxx Crosby. Back in March, the Raiders agreed to trade star defensive end Maxx Crosby to the Baltimore Ravens for 2 first-round draft picks, but the deal was shortly nixed when the Ravens had concerns regarding Crosby's failed physical. However, since Crosby was almost traded once, there's no reason to think that he won't be traded twice. The defensive end requested to be traded because he was tired of the constant losing and turmoil with the Raiders and wanted to play for a winner. Thus, enter Houston. The Texans are a potential Super Bowl contender, but they still have some holes to fill. Unfortunately, most of those holes are on the offensive side of the ball. Defensively, the Texans have one of, if not the top unit in the NFL. So if you can't make multiple moves to improve the offense, why not double down on your team's biggest strength? Adding one of the best defensive ends in the game to one of the best defenses in the game would allow Houston to truly limit opposing offenses, which makes their adequate offense seem more potent. Since the Texans are entering a win-now mode, perhaps they'd be willing to meet the Raiders' demand of 2 first-round picks for Crosby. Brandon Aiyuk shuffled off to Buffalo. There are no current rumblings linking San Francisco 49ers wide receiver Brandon Aiyuk to any trade rumors, but the situation does deserve watching. As of the beginning of June, Aiyuk is in an ugly contract standoff with the 49ers. He's currently still under contract to San Francisco, but they've voided his guaranteed money for 2026 and have placed the wide receiver on the reserve/left squad list. The pair are heading towards a divorce, so a trade seems like the most likely solution. And if you're a star player, you want to trade to a contender. While Aiyuk currently plays for a Super Bowl contender in San Francisco, could he be the missing piece for a Bills team desperate for their first title? With Buffalo, Aiyuk would be paired with one of the game's best quarterbacks in Josh Allen. The Bills already got a potent offense with running back James Cook III and a solid receiving core of Khalil Shakir, newly acquired DJ Moore, and tight ends Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox. Adding a 1,000-yard receiving threat like Aiyuk, who's coming off injury and might be had for cheap, well, that would cause a sensation. Giants get Fred Warner from San Francisco. The New York Giants have always been known for having a suffocating defense. With the lineage of Lawrence Taylor, Harry Carson, Carl Banks, and Michael Strahan, defensive stalwarts have been a staple of the Giants throughout their history. In fact, several of the Giants' Super Bowl victories have been built on the back of their defense. In fact, over the past several years of futility in New York, a stout defense is one of the things that they've been lacking. A player like Fred Warner would go a long way towards re-establishing the Giants' defensive dominance. Warner has spent the past 8 seasons terrorizing opposing offensive players, and while he may not be a sack machine, he will punish anyone coming across the middle of the field, especially paired with a head coach like John Harbaugh, whose teams are known for their defensive abilities. Remember Ray Lewis? The Niners have absolutely no reason to trade Warner, as they have Super Bowl visions of their own. But hey, just imagine if the Giants could get him. Micah Parsons shipped to the Motor City. The Detroit Lions have been on the periphery of a Super Bowl for the past few years. The 2023 and 2024 seasons were the closest this franchise has come to making their first Super Bowl, although they did take a step back in 2025 when they finished at 9-8 and missed the playoffs. Despite the disappointing end to last season, the Lions return a stacked lineup to the field in 2026. That, honestly, should realistically compete for the Lombardi Trophy. Offensively, the Lions are in great shape, but they need help on the defensive side of the ball. In fact, the biggest need Detroit has is for a lockdown edge rusher, and Micah Parsons is one of the best in the league today. In just 5 short seasons in the NFL, Parsons has averaged 14 sacks a season and earned numerous accolades. The 3-time All-Pro and 2021 AP Defensive Rookie of the Year would instantly elevate the Lions' already formidable defense. Of course, this trade has a 0% chance of happening, as there is absolutely no way that the Green Bay Packers would trade a player of Micah Parsons' caliber to their division rival, the Detroit Lions, which is why if it did happen, this would absolutely break the internet in half. Bengals acquire Kyle Pitts. Entering the league as the 4th overall pick of the 2021 NFL Draft, Kyle Pitts came out of college with a lot of hype. It's not often that a tight end goes that high in the draft. In fact, Pitts is the highest drafted tight end in the NFL's history. Despite the hype and promise, the Florida Gators product hasn't quite lived up to the hype. Sure, he flashed his potential with over 1,000 receiving yards in his rookie season, but he followed that up with 3 subpar seasons before rebounding with a very respectable 2025 season. That inconsistency leads to 2 potential causes. Either that's what he is as a player, or that's the result of playing for the Atlanta Falcons. And you know, I'm gonna go with the latter here. If this man can get out of Atlanta, then maybe Pitts can unleash his full potential. And Cincinnati seems like a pretty good place to do just that. The Bengals should come out of the AFC North with a playoff spot, and a Super Bowl appearance wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility. The Bengals have a potentially potent offense, but they do have one major weakness. It's at tight end, where they currently have Micah. Acquiring Kyle Pitts could change the trajectory of the Bengals season. Miami trades Devon Achane to the Broncos. The Broncos are on the verge of winning a Super Bowl. After only 2 seasons under center, it is clear that Bo Nix is the answer at quarterback in Denver. In 2025, Nix led the Broncos to a 14-3 record, which was good enough for first place in the AFC West and a trip to the AFC Championship game. Unfortunately, Nix was hurt the week before leading Denver to an overtime victory over the Bills and was unavailable for their loss to the Patriots in that AFC Championship. In the offseason, Denver bolstered their receiver room with an acquisition of Jalen Waddle from the Dolphins, adding the young star to a group that includes Cortland Sutton, Marvin Mims Jr., and tight end Evan Ingram. Since Miami and Denver have already made one trade this offseason, why not make another? Denver could really use an upgrade over J.K. Dobbins at running back, and Devon Achane would certainly accomplish that. Not only is Achane one of the best running backs in the league, he's also one of the best catching passes out of the backfield. While it would be hard for the Finns to give up a player of Achane's caliber, they're in a complete rebuild, and by the time they're ready to win, well, Achane might be out of his prime. So maybe it would be best to get something of value for him now. If the Broncos could somehow trade for Achane, they would be unstoppable. TJ Watt traded to Chicago. The Steelers are another team that's caught between mediocrity and rebuilding. Pittsburgh might make the playoffs in 2026, but are they a true Super Bowl contender? No, they are not. Well, what about after 2026? Will the 42-year-old Aaron Rodgers retire? And if so, will he announce it early, or will he hold the team hostage through free agency as they await his decision? And all of that with a new head coach. That's a lot to deal with, and considering the age factor, not just at quarterback, it might be wise for the Steelers to think about selling off veteran assets as they look to regroup. Over his 9 years in the Steel City, TJ Watt has racked up a borderline Hall of Fame career, but he's almost 33 years old and he carries a large salary for the next 3 years. Chicago, on the other hand, is a young team on the rise and could really use a leader like TJ Watt, not only in the locker room but also on the field as well. One of the biggest holes that the Bears have is with their pass rush, and there is no doubt that Watt would solve that problem instantly, as well as shock NFL fans everywhere. Vikings send Justin Jefferson to Kansas City. The Chiefs need a true number 1 wide receiver. It is something they have lacked since Tyreek Hill left. And looking at their current receivers, it's something that they desperately need. Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy are reliable receivers, but neither is a number 1. Additionally, for years, the Chiefs' leading receiver has been tight end Travis Kelce, but he is not what he once was. His days of 100+ receptions and 1,000+ receiving yards a season are over. Having another weapon would also ease the transition with new running back Kenneth Walker III and ease the burden on a returning Patrick Mahomes. A wide receiver like Justin Jefferson would solve all those issues. As for the Vikings, well, they're a team whose title window may have closed before it really even opened. Their quarterback situation is in flux, as their options are currently J.J. McCarthy or Kyler Murray. At 27 years of age, Jefferson is entering his prime, and if the man wants to win, getting out of Minnesota is gonna have to happen. And you know, KC would be a great place for him. Browns acquire a franchise quarterback. A quarterback like Mahomes does not come along very often, and when he does, you hold on to him for his entire career, especially after what happened in 2025. Mahomes was lost for the season with a severe knee injury, and Kansas City saw what a future without their star franchise quarterback would look like. It wasn't pretty. So again, let me state, this trade is not, nor will it ever happen. But I mean, could you imagine if it did? Arguably one of the best quarterbacks in the league today and a future Hall of Fame inductee being sent to the worst team in the league. I mean, come on, there's no denying that the Browns need a franchise quarterback. as they haven't really had one since Bernie Kosar, and that might even be pushing it. If not for Kosar, then maybe they haven't had a franchise guy under center since like Otto Graham in the 40s and 50s. Without a doubt, a trade of Patrick Mahomes to anyone would shock the world. But a trade to the Cleveland Browns would break everyone, especially the internet. But what trade do you think would break the internet? Which of these trades do you think is the most likely to ever happen? Let us know in the comment section below. If you liked this video and learned a thing or two, then clicking the like button helps us out a ton. And we really appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, then subscribing is a great idea, because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.